Today we are diving into the unfolding political drama in Syria, a nation once dominated by the Assad family's iron grip for 53 years, now seemingly in the throes of a dramatic power shift. The Assad family ruled Syria from 1971 when Hafiz al-Assad became president under the Ba'ath Party following the 1970 coup, until Bashar al-Assad was ousted on December 8, 2024. Bashar came into power after his father's death in 2000. Initially, Bashar was not groomed to succeed his father. That role was intended for his elder brother, Bashar al-Assad. However, Bashar died in a car accident in 1994, leaving the family and political apparatus without a clear successor. After Bashar's death, Hafiz turned to Bashar, who was living in London studying ophthalmology and pursuing a relatively apolitical career. Bashar was quickly recalled to Syria and groomed for leadership. He entered the Syrian military academy in Homs and rose swiftly through the ranks. He was placed in key positions in the government to build his public profile and establish his authority within the ruling elite. Hello viewers, and welcome to Let's Talk Politics on Naija Anchor News, your go-to platform for dissecting global and national political events. For over a decade, Syria has been the focal point of global discussion on governance, rebellion, and humanitarian despair. Syria's political wars didn't appear overnight. In 2011, a wave of pro-democracy protests swept across the Arab world, known as the Arab Spring. Syrians, too, demanded reform, but their peaceful calls for a change were met with brutal government crackdowns, igniting a civil war that has since evolved into a multifaceted conflict. At its core lies a regime clinging to power, rebel groups fighting for a fractured division of freedom, and ordinary Syrians caught in the crossfire. This is not just a Syrian issue, it's a geopolitical chessboard. On one side, you have President Bashar al-Assad's regime, backed by heavyweights like Russia and Iran, and on the other, fractured opposition supported at various times by Western nations, Turkey and Gulf states. Add extremist groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda into the mix, and you have a quagmire where alliances shift like sand dunes. But let's not forget the hidden war, the economic one. Sanctions on Syria crippled the economy, but were they targeting the regime or were they punishing the people? That's the question the international communities must grapple with. Over 500,000 lives lost, millions displaced, and entire cities reduced to rubble. Children born into refugee camps know no other life, and a whole generation is growing up with trauma as their only inheritance. The question is, how long will the world continue to watch? 4 days ago, Syrian rebels made headlines by taking over Damascus, effectively ousting Assad's regime. And in a twist that could rival a Hollywood script, it has been confirmed that Assad is now in Moscow under Russian asylum. This event marks a pivotal moment in Middle Eastern politics, but the story is far from over. US President Joe Biden wasted no time claiming credit for this turn of event, attributing it to America's calculated mix of military forces, sanctions, and diplomacy. His statement, "Our approach has shifted the balance of power in the Middle East," echoes a broader narrative for the USA, positioning itself as a puppeteer in regional politics. But this begs the question, was this truly a victory for the Syrian people or just another chapter in the global chess game between superpowers? Remember, USA involvement in Syria dates back to Obama's era when covert CIA operations began arming Syrian opposition groups in 2013. This expanded in 2014 when American troops were deployed to combat the Islamic State. Now, with Assad toppled, is the USA setting the stage for a freer Syria or a new era of instability? For the people or for the rebels? The question burning in everyone's mind is, what does this takeover mean for the Syrian people? After years of civil war, countless lives lost, and millions displaced, Syrians are yearning for peace and governance that prioritize their welfare. However, history offers a cautionary tale. Rebels coalitions, often united by their opposition to a common enemy, tends to fracture once the dust settles. Will this alliance of convenience among Syrian rebels hold, or are we looking at the possibility of infighting, creating yet another layer of instability? Moreover, can the rebels deliver on their promises? Overthrowing a regime is one thing, governing a fractured nation is another. Syrians will want answers or pressing issues, rebuilding infrastructure, restoring the economy, and readdressing the humanitarian crisis. Can these rebels rise to the challenge, or will power struggle and external influences derail their efforts? Now let's look at the Russian angle. Meanwhile, Russia's decision to provide Assad with asylum is a calculated move. Moscow has been a key ally of Assad's regime, and its military intervention in 2015 helped tilt the scale in its favor during the civil war. By sheltering Assad, Russia sends a message its influence in Syria and the broader Middle East is far from diminished. This development raises another question. How will this impact Russia's future role in the region? Will it continue to assert a dominance, or this is a strategic retreat to maintain leverage in whatever new government emerges? As Syrians navigate this new chapter, one thing is certain: hope hangs in a delicate balance. While the fall of Assad marks the end of an era of autocratic rule, it doesn't guarantee a brighter future. The world is watching closely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. For the Syrian citizens, this moment represents both opportunity and uncertainty. Can the new leadership foster unity, rebuild the nation, and restore Syria's standing on the global stage, or will this be another case of revolution followed by disappointment, just as we saw in the case of Libya? Lesson for the world. Syria teaches us several hard truths about governance, foreign interventions, and the limits of diplomacy. It's a stark reminder of what happens when leaders prioritize power over people, when global powers prioritize influences over peace, and when the voice of the oppressed are drawn out by the sounds of gunfire. But it also shows us the resilience of a people who continue to fight, not just for survival, but for a better tomorrow. Syrians are not just victims, they are heroes in their own right, building schools and camps, advocating for justice, and dreaming of a peaceful nation. As always, we want to hear your thoughts. Is this moment of liberation for Syria or the beginning of another political quagmire? Drop your comments below and join the conversation. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Politics on Naija Anchor. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis of the political stories shaping our world today. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and let's keep talking politics.